Okay, good evening. This is the seventh session for programming in Java course, and today we are going to discuss ArrayList, linked list, enums, autoboxing, unboxing, those concepts. So let me start sharing the screen. I hope the screen is visible. Yeah. So in the last session, we have discussed array, and we have seen almost all the properties which are related to the arrays, how we can create it, traverse it, and how to extract the elements, how can sort it, all those implements with the help of Java collection methods. Now we will go move beyond it, and we will see more advanced concept with respect to it. So in right now in Java, it is said that array is mutable. That means we can set or change the values in the array, but we can't resize it. Okay. But list is little different. List is actually immutable. That is, we can't change the element, neither we can change the size. But there's a combination which has been provided called as array list that we will see in the upcoming slides. Okay. So list is basically a special type in Java. It's called an interface. We haven't talked about abstraction right now, but let's assume that list is a class or it's an interface where we have defined the method signature, which we are going to use these signatures to perform our own operations. So, based building upon array and the list, we got array list. Now, array list is basically a class, and it is basically an array in the memory, uh, array wise, but it stores only the addresses of the content that we are having. So, we will talk about that how array list arrange its content in the memory also in couple of minutes. But uh, uh, the size of an array usually is not defined, it's taken care by Java itself. Okay. And we can add an element to an array list, and we can extend it over a period of time, but in like in array we can't add new elements after the array size is full, but in array list we can do that. So that means it is resizable. So that is the advantage that we are getting right now with the array list, which we can't get it for uh, with the array. Okay. So this table tells about the features of arrays and array list, and it tells about which things are common and not common in the array list. Most of things are common, but the major types which are not common in array list is primitive types are not supported. We will. Yes. Can you please unmute yourself? Just a minute. Yeah. Okay. So one thing is ArrayList can't support primitive data type. That means it can't support int, float, or double, or those such kind of stuff. We will see that how to access such primitive types support also with the help of auto boxing as well. Another differentiator, major differentiator, it is resizable. That is, we can extend the array list over it what we have defined, but we can't do an array. Also, it implements a list interface. Array can't do that. So what is list interface? That is adding, traversing, containing. So those certain functions are there that we're going to see now. That interface can be implemented by the array list, not by the array. So these are few differences between how to instantiate an array and array list. So I think it's better to start directly on the code and see that how it works. So I'm jumping on IntelliJ, and this code link has already provided in the in call message. The one who received it, please post on again in the chat box so that others can use it. Okay, so let's talk about few things. An array, before going to array list, let's make few things, make few criterias around, because we know an array usually, right? So let's start with an array. So this is an object array. Now object array is its object is the topmost class, root class of a Java. So using this we can create an object array. So we are creating a list in the in similar case of a grocery item. So we are creating a grocery list array. So in this we are creating an object array, and we have three objects assigned with we are assigning size of 3 for that object array. Okay. Now this is pretty much fine, and it is can be done. Okay, but and this object can be replaced with uh, any class object as well. So if I create a class object, I can create an array for that aspect as well. Okay, so that will work pretty fine. But for our case, since we're going towards motivating the array list, let's create a small class which called grocery item, which we can use it and try to direct, and through that we will try to create an object of that, so object array of that. So do this, we will use something called as record. Okay, so this is something you might have seen new. This is present in Java 14 and plus and higher versions. Okay, so Java record is a basically a boilerplate code. That means it's just a shortened version of a short version of how you write a class. Okay, now this what it store usually is, if you want to have class where only only want to store data fields, not any particular kind of method, unique methods related to that, at that point of time you can create a record. So record is usually used for data storing purposes. So if you want to have you're creating a class which mostly where you the objects will contain the field's name only and not much processing happening at that. So at such kind of cases you don't have to create a class, you can create a record. Okay, so record is used for data storing purposes or data manipulation purposes. Okay, so here we are creating so this grocery item is a record. Basically it's a class, you can assume that class only. Now it has three fields, that is a name, the type that is a grocery item name, the type of that grocery item, and the quantity of that grocery item, that is count. Okay, now we have created a constructor here. So the public grocery item string name, this name diary 1. So that means uh, this this constructor will take name as an input. So if I invoke something, if I just pass a name to the grocery item when I creating an object, it will take only name, and it will automatically if I don't pass any type value or count, it will automatically assign dairy as its type and the count, the amount of that item as 1. Okay, now another function that we see have a lot in our session is something called as toString. So every class has this toString by default function. So we are using this public string toString for whenever we're calling the object of a grocery item and we want to print the information related to that. So we are returning that information. Okay, so it's more like a printing statement. So how we are printing it, that is string dot format, and we are passing the count of that grocery item, the name of the grocery item, and whatever the type of that grocery item is. So let's see how it will work. So now instead of object array, let's start with the grocery item array. So now this is a grocery item array, line number 22, now which has been built on top of record. Okay, now a grocery array can be stored with can store 3 items only, and their name is grocery array, the name of the object. Now so if I add so at the first location, at the first index, I am creating a grocery item object, and I am passing only milk as its name. Okay, in the second grocery array item, I am passing apples, the name of the item, the type, whatever type it is, and the quantity of the apples. So I'm passing that, and it is creating an object. Okay, now if I pass, okay, let's stop here and just try to print it out, so how it will look like. Okay, so I'm going to print out that this array that we have created, grocery array, with the help of an record called grocery item. Let's print it out and see how it will work. So let me run this. Okay, it's taking some time. Okay, now it has created an object of arrays, that is grocery array, of record grocery item. So it has one milk in dairy that we have passed directly from here. So we have passed milk as a grocery item, but here when we are trying to print it, the array using the function called array.toString, it is calling the toString method uh, of the record grocery item. So it is invoking line number 15 and is returning the format in this case, that is %d%s, that it is count, that is 1 in this case. %s is a string, that is the string. So here the name of that item, in this case we have passed milk, so it is the milk has been there in uppercase. Okay, in %s, in this case type of that grocery item, so that is in this case was dairy, so it is passing it here. Similarly for 6 apples in produce, and since we haven't passed any third item, it will print null. Okay, so that is one thing. Now I want to do some little changes. Now I will, instead of grocery item array, I will just call it object array. Now the object array is the array where any kind of information can be stored, because object is the top root class of a Java. So I will just, instead of grocery array name of grocery item, I will create an object array of grocery array. Okay, so here if I just try to pass 5 oranges as well, which is basically a string instead of grocery item, let's see how whether it will work or not. It's parsing. Okay, so here according, if I create an object array of a same name as grocery array as the name, um, uh, if I pass the array, I can store, even this is a string, the gross 5 oranges is a string, but the remaining first two elements are grocery items. Okay, so these are different nature, but since we are storing it as an object, and string is also a class in our Java, it can store it. Okay, now what we do is, let's comment the object array and again invoke the grocery item, okay, the specific thing, and let's try to run this code again. Okay, where we're trying to include 5 oranges here. Okay, we already see that red line is here because it's maybe think incompatible type, but let's see what kind of error we are getting here in the output. Okay, so it is showing incompatible type. Reason is the oranges, 5 oranges, the string that we are passing here, it's not expecting, it is expecting a grocery item only. Okay, so that means it's saying that Java lang string cannot be converted to uh, grocery item. Okay, so that is the thing. So to resolve such kind of cases, uh, we'll comment this out and we'll create a new grocery item with oranges. We have to mention its type and the number of count, and if we print this, it will work pretty much fine. Okay, so now we have seen this is still an array right now, where the array list come into picture. So let's look into that first. Now what we are doing in the while creating an array of objects here with the help of grocery item, that we have to specify at location number 1 and 2 that okay, this is my item, and uh, I have to create an object of that and have to specify it. So can I simplify this process? Okay, so here the array list will come into picture. Now array list is a much enhanced feature of a array where we can add and remove the objects in a much better way. So let's look at them. So to create an array list, uh, so there are two ways to create array list, but let's see that how we can deal with it. Okay, now this array list is a generalized one. Here we are not specifying anything, so we're just saying that array list as a thing, object list, the name of that array list, and new array list. Okay, so this line number 34 is something what we can say as similar to object array that we have created earlier in the line number 24. Okay, because since we are not providing any type that what the array list should consist of, so it will consider that the array list is of type object. Okay, that means any type of information you can put it there. So let's run this. So what we are doing is using this object list, using the add function, the array list provide. Now array list is considered as is built up on top of list interface. That means I can use functionality of lists uh, in the array list. So that's why the add function comes from that. Okay, and if I try to add it using new grocery item, and then this is a grocery item, and then I am trying to add object list of yogurt, that is a which is a typical string, and try to print it out. Let's see what is the output. Okay, so uh, one has asked a question: the type and count is considered as array or not in line number 10. Okay, I'll come back to that. Uh, okay, so in the array list of object list that we have created, which is that it is by default the Java is considering it as a type of array list, as a type of object. Okay, that means a root class. So it it can store different types, be it the grocery item, which is a class that we have created, and the yogurt, which is a string. Okay, so it shows similar aspects of what we have seen earlier when we try to add grocery items and 5 ranges from line number 25. Okay, so this is one thing, but let's now make a much better list with much more concentrated things. So before that, a question is there that type and count considered as array or not. No, that in the line number 10, this string, name, type, these are all a part of one object. That object is a type of record called grocery item. Okay, so whenever I'm creating one object that like this new grocery item milk, it I'm by default passing the name, the type as dairy, and count. If, otherwise, I will explicitly specifying as apple, produce, or count, like this. Okay, so I'm creating one object, and I'm storing that one object of grocery item in the array of grocery item array. So which I'm initializing, declaring and initializing in line number 26. So these are not array, but I'm storing one array in that grocery item array. It's just like int, right? So if I have int uh, I equal to 10 and int j equal to 10, something like that. So it's considered like I and j are like grocery items. Okay, now if I create a new array called int uh, array new array, let's say 3, then I'm passing this I and j values into that. So I array of 0 at 0th position, that is first position, I'm passing the I value. So here the I and j are individual component of the integer, but since I'm creating an object of that specific type, I can add it. Okay, similarly grocery item is one of the objects that I'm creating, and I'm keeping them stored in a grocery array, which is a type of grocery item. Okay, I hope this might make you clear. Okay, and what we had one has asked, what is it, what we are going to discuss in today's session. We are discussing array list, we're going to discuss linked list, auto boxing, and enum. Okay. Okay, so now come back to let's come back to the array list now. So we have seen this array list, which is a generalized list where we can add objects of different types. One is of grocery item that we have created earlier, and another is a string, that is yogurt, right? So it can produce it. But what if we want that? No, we want a list to be of specific type or specific objects. So here we can create a list called grocery list. So let's see that. So to write a grocery list, first we have to specify array list, the name of the array list, then a diamond operator. In that diamond operator, we have to specify the type of the array list it will be. Okay, here you can have string, but you can't have primitive data types like int and all. So we will discuss that why by default it is not allowing the int or character or float or double. We can't write that in this diamond operator, but anything apart from that, be it string or grocery item in this case, can be added. Okay, so we are defining the type of that array list. We are mentioning the name of that, whatever the array list name will be, in this case grocery list, and then we are creating it using new keyword and again passing array list. Here also you can write grocery item, but usually it's not needed because you already mentioned it in the earlier. Okay, so you don't need to do that, so you can leave this part here and followed by the parenthesis, opening and closing parenthesis. Now if you want to add, since it's an array list and it uses list interfaces, list function at the background, so I can use add function to add uh, new items. So let's say I'm having grocery list, add new grocery item. So I'm adding butter, then I'm adding milk using the add function, and then I am adding oranges of type produce and conf5. Okay, now if I just try to print it out, this grocery list, let's run this part as well. Okay, so it will produce, it will tell this, the highlighted line in the output is the one, is the our array list that we have created with the grocery item type. Okay, now if you, now there are multiple ways to add, apart from using add function, we can add in a different ways as well. So let's say if we want to add at 0th position, we want to add new item. Okay, so and that is the apples part. So we can use add function again, but he will provide first the index followed by the item that we want to add. Okay, so we are providing the location followed by the type of item that we want to add. So if we run this, yeah, so if we run this, you can see that now it has appended here. So the apple that we have added, apple has been put on the first position, and it has dislocated the butter or milk or oranges to the back. Okay, this thing we can't do in specific, we can't do in array, because here if we do in array, it will replace the value. So instead of butter earlier, it will might replace with apple, but here we have added 6 apple in the front itself. Okay, so likewise, at any index we can add the new list. So that's the advantage of a array list over uh, over the array. Now another thing that the array list provides is, now that instead of adding it, you want to change the value. Okay, so let me do again comment this line 47 and 48. Okay, now what I want to do is, instead of adding the 6 apple in the front, I will want to replace the butter with the apple. So to do that, I will use the function called set dot grocery item dot grocery list dot set. I'll specify the position in which I want to add my new item. So, and I will provide the information related to that item. So if I run this, the 6 apples in produce, that output that we have seen earlier, it will be replacing this 1 butter in dairy, and we will have only 3 items. Well, let's see. So you can see that the 1 butter uh, in milk that was what in dairy was there, and we have replaced it with the set function here. Okay. Another thing that we can do is we can remove an element by providing the index. So using the dot remove function, if and providing the index, if we do that, it can remove this. So in this case, if I run this, it should remove the 1 milk in dairy. Okay, so the 1 milk and dairy has been removed, and then we have remained with only 2 item or grocery item in the list. Okay, now one question is there, what is meant to use grocery item in front of array list? Okay, so let's again try to dissect this. Now first you define array list, which tells that it's an array list. Okay, so you're defining that. Now you define grocery item. Now grocery item is the type of information you want to store in this array list. You want to store in this array list. So what is the grocery item? This grocery item we have created earlier uh, in the above. So this grocery item is basically a record, a smaller version of the class. Okay. Now in this grocery item we have 3 aspects. So we are passing an object of this grocery item. So the object contains name, type, and count. Okay, so that we are passing here. So so this array list that we are creating is of type of grocery item. Okay, so we are creating a type of grocery item, and grocery list is the name of the array list. Is the name of the array list. Okay, now another thing, if I try to have it like, let's say, string, sorry, not string, this will work also. If I have int like this, the problem is you can see the red line is coming. Okay, type argument cannot be primitive type. That means array list cannot work on primitive data types, that is int, float, double, char, and others. Okay, it will work on string because that's not a primitive data type. Okay, so ArrayList is used for such kind of cases where you creating a class and object that you want to store as objects in a list. You can use this. You can want to store list set of string, you can use this. Okay, so let me change again to grocery item. I hope this grocery item is clear, this thing. Otherwise you can unmute yourself again, ask this question. Okay, so we have created the list. Now we can see that now it, apart from adding the element like this at indexes, the array list provide a functionality of dot add. Also, it also provide us the functionality of dot set and dot remove to play with the grocery item list. Okay. Okay, now this is one aspect for it. Let's see more functionality of the array list. Okay, so let's start with So I've taken the new file here, which is called morelist.java. So this is a new file where we are dealing with it. And so let's start with the line number 5. So we have class public class morelist, and in the main function we are defining a string of array. Okay, so this is a string array. We are putting the items, the array is of the name of items, and it has apple, banana, milk, and eggs. Now let's try to create a list out of it. Okay, so again it's a list, not an array list. List is list. Okay, this is list is different from array list, so that I just wanted to make it clear. And let's try to print it out. Okay, and also what we'll do is, yeah, okay, first print it out, and then we will print out that what type of list it is. So what we are doing, we have a string array. Now we are converting the string. We are again creating a list of type string, okay, which may be named as list only, and using the list of function, this list of function, I'm passing the string array that I've mentioned here, line number 7. I'm passing them in here such that it will create a list, and I'm printing out this list, and also I'm printing out what is the type of that list is. So if I run this code, okay, so the first, when we taken a list, so with the help of array, we are converting that to a list, and we are printing this out. So the first printout statement is perfectly fine, which is called as apples, banana, milks, and egg. Now when we're trying to know what is the type of list is, using the dot get class and dot get name. So if a variable is given, if we can pass the dot get class function, in which it will extract the class, and using get name function we can print out, we can extract the name of that class. So here it is showing that java util immutable collection list. Okay, so it's a list type, and it is an immutable collection. So one thing I want to again specify here, immutable means anything which we term as immutable, that means that uh, that thing cannot be changed or resize. Okay, so we if I suppose a list is there, list is called as immutable. Okay, that means we cannot resize them, or we can't add anything also. So once the list is created, it's just created. Okay, so let's suppose if you want to add list.add functionality. Okay, so if I run list.add, and I will pass yogurt as this example and try to run this, let's see what the output will be. Okay, so we are getting the error that unsupported operation exception. Okay, why? Because list has been created already. Now we can't add it. So if we want to add something in the list, we have to add it only during its creation. Okay, after the list has been created, we can't add it. Okay, so how to solve this problem? So solve this problem, ArrayList again will come into place. Now what we'll do is, instead of creating a list of items, we will create ArrayList of the type string, and we will pass groceries as the name of the array list. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll pass list as its parameter. So what we can, so any, just like the list of items are there, we can also pass here list to tell that okay, this is our uh, starting information. Now based on this list starting information, you create a grocery array list. Okay, and then you try to add yogurt. Okay, and let's print out groceries as well. So let me do one thing. Yeah, now If I run this, so you can see that with when we try to add yogurt in the list, it is not possible. But now when we try to add yogurt in the array list, and even though we have passed list as a initial information to while creation of the array list, we can add it. So this is the difference between list and the array list. Okay, that is, array list is basically mutable in this case. So array list is now we call as mutable, which that means which can be changed. Okay, now let's see few functionalities of the array list. Now what we'll do is, uh, another way of creating array list is that if you want to if you want to add the some of the information during the starting itself, during its initialization or declaration, at that time how you can use this. So you have to write, sorry, array list. You have to tell its type, that is string, the name of the array list. Okay, new keyword, array list with the diamond operator. This is called as diamond operator. And then in parentheses we have to tell about, you have to pass off the list. So the list you can pass off using the function called list of. Using list of function you pass out the values, which is basically a string here. So we am adding pickles, mustard and cheese, and then we are printing out this next list. Okay, so it will print out, it will work. Now I want to see want to show new thing. Now if you want to uh, add existing sorry, you want to add new array list into existing array list, you can use add all function. Okay, so grocery was already an array list that we have created earlier in the line number 18. Now next list is the new array list that we have created line number 22. So using add all function, we will add whatever the information present in next list to the grocery, and then we'll print it out, the groceries. So let's print it out. So what it will do, it will append the new array list on the existing list. So let's do that. So let's see, it's building. Okay, so the new array list, that next name with next list we have created, it was like pickle, mustard and cheese. Now this pickle, mustard and cheese has been appended on the existing grocery list. Okay, grocery array list. So that is one functionality. Now if you want to uh, get an item from the list, sorry, array list, if you want to get an item from array list, you will use get function. Okay, get function, and then you have to specify the index of the list. That is thing. Also, if you want to check that of a particular uh, check the content of a particular in the array list, you can use the function called contains and then pass on your value. Okay, in this case mustard, and if it contains, it will pass on the true value, and then you can print out the list contain method. So let's run this part also. Okay, so using get function at the index 2, that is, in this case this is the grocery final grocery list that I'm highlighting right now in the bottom of the screen. The third item is the milk, so it is extracting the milk, and also it checks for contains, whether it contains mustard or not. So it can check for mustard and it prints out list contain mustard, so it is working pretty much fine. Now if you want to find, this is it's like finding the element, right? Same thing, what you can do is, now you again add a duplicate item. So duplicate item is allowed in array list. Okay, So you add grocery dot add yogurt. So what will happen is it will add at the end of the grocery. So after cheese it will add yogurt. Now if you want to know that what is the first index of particular element, if you know that there is an element which is duplicated, you can find the first and the last index of that. Okay, so in this case using index of method we are trying to find yogurt. So it will find any first instance of yogurt. When it finds, it will print it out. Okay, and using the last index of method it will try to it will print out the last instance of yogurt present in that array list. So if we run this, it will show that yogurt which is present at the fourth location index wise, and the yogurt at eighth location index wise, it will has to print out here. So the first location was yogurt. So the yogurt was there at the fourth index, that is in this case 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and yogurt added the end. We haven't printed out the again the grocery list, so we are not showing it here, but it added at the end, so that will come at the last position, which is the eighth position. So using index of methods also you can try to find the elements. Now let's see that removing the elements. So let me uncomment them. Now you can remove the elements in two ways using remove function. First is you can provide the index of that element, and then second part is you can directly provide the name of that uh, item that you want to delete uh, from that array list. So if I run this, okay, so now this is the initial I'm highlighting it out. This is the initial uh, array list that we are having. Now when we remove one, index 1, that is banana. So in at index 1 was banana, so in the next part when we try to print, banana was missing, and then we try to remove yogurt. So yogurt we have removed, but again look at that, the another duplicate element of yogurt is present, that has not been removed from here. That means only one instance of it can remove, not all the instance. It can remove only one instance of an element. If a duplicate elements are there, we can't remove that. Now another thing, another way of removing all the items is that you specify the using remove all function, where you will specify the list which you don't want to get deleted. Okay, so this apples and eggs will remain, and remaining will be get deleted. So if I run this code as well, no sorry, my bad, I have wrongly said. So here whatever the list of elements that I want to delete, that is apple eggs, it will remove. So I can provide the list as well, a list of items which I have to delete in a one shot itself, and then it will remove. So here look at the last line here. So apples and eggs, we ask for remove all function, where we provided the elements that apples and eggs has to be removed from the list. So we have removed that from the array list. Okay, and so this it will automatically find its index, and it will automatically delete it. Okay, another way of dealing with it is that this is something called as retain all function. Okay, so in retain all function we will specify the name of items that we want to keep, and remaining of them we will delete it. Okay, or we will remove it from the array list. So for that, let me comment 49, 49 and 50 says that we remove apple, we can keep apples, and now let's print it out. So in this case only apple, milk, mustard and cheese will be present, and rest of the items will be removed from that original from the grocery list, grocery array list. So if so it's running right now. So you can see that This was the initial uh, state before you apply retain all, and when we apply retain all, only the list that we have provided, in this case apple, milk and mustard and cheese, that was present. So that is one thing. Also, if you want to clear the whole, if you want to clear the all the array list in one shot, for that you have to put clear. So it will remove all elements from the array list. Okay, and is empty, using is empty function you can check that whether the that array list is empty or not. So if I run this code, so look at this one I'm highlighting right now. So after grocery dot clear at line number 55, we have printed out the groceries. In this case, it shown us the empty array list. Also, we're using is empty. It is passing the true value. That means the grocery array list is empty. Okay. Now what else we can do? Now, if you want to add something on the list in a larger scale, that is, you don't want to keep on using the add function that we have seen earlier, right? So we just keep on adding um, using the like grocery dot add yogurt, right? So if instead of, we don't want to keep on adding, so in a similar way, what we can do is you can use a function called add all. Okay, this add all require the parameter of list, and that list can be created using list of function, and you have to pass on the values that you want to create in the list. And then also, if you want to, there are two ways to write it down. So this is uh, the values are passed as a list. This is one way. Another function that we can find it out, that values are passed as array, as an array. So this array dot as list, if we keep this function using this, this is basically a string of array that we are trying to pass to the add all function, and it will work pretty much fine. So if I print this out, since our grocery list item is grocery item array list is empty, so it will give us 8 new items. Okay, so this is has given us 8 new items like this. Now if we want to print if we want to sort them in a particular order, uh, I can do in two ways. So one is comparator dot natural order. It is a part of a list interface, list collection. So in natural order it will sort in ascending order, and in reverse order it will sort in descending order. Okay, so if I run this, so it will show this particular highlighted one, the new grocery array list that we have created in two different outputs, that is one in ascending order and one in descending order, that is based on uh, the characters present here. So this was the original list I am highlighting right now, and the next highlighting array that I am highlighting is the one in ascending order, that is you start with apple, A, C, E, H, M, mustard, pickles, like that, and then the last array, that array list that we are seeing is in descending order, it's in total reverse order. So that we can use using comparator dot reverse order functionality or natural order functionality. And the last thing that we can do is, if you want to convert a list to an array, uh, certain reason it might require where you can't pass on the list value, you can just, or array list, you just need to pass an array. So how to do that? So to do this, what you have to do is you have to take var, which will automatically will identify the type of value you want to take. Name, give the name of the grocery array. Then the groceries, you know this, which is an array list. So you use the functionality called toArray. In this, you will create a new string array. New string array with this you specify the array since you're creating an array, you have to specify the size. So you can specify the size using array list name dot size functionality. Now once you do this, and then when you print it out, arrays dot toString using grocery array. This is basically an array that you have created, a string array. So it's basically a string array. So using this, you can convert an array list. Sorry, I have to write an array list to array. And if I print this out, so this last line is basically uh, is the last order in which we have created. That is the descending order. That part we have created, and this is the basically an array in this case, which I right now I can't differentiate, but later I can write a function to differentiate. Okay, now let me see if you have question. So question is, if you want to add any new item at specific index position without removing previous item, how to do that? So if you want to add a new item without removing any specific thing, so uh, so for that you can use function called add. So I'm going at main.java. Okay, so I'm commenting out this thing. Okay, now so when we are creating an array list, you can use the functionality called add, and you can specify any index name. Let's say now I already have 3 elements in that grocery list item. So let's say I want to add the element at the index number second position, that is index 1, and want to add that is after butter, I want to add apples. Okay, so if I try to run this code, just a minute. Okay, now forget about these two things because that is coming from the below. Uh, now just a minute, add one is there, index 1. So after butter, why apple is not been added? Okay, I have to print it out. Just a minute, I have to print this out also. So let me change few lines of code here and then again run this. Okay, so now grocery list item is there. Now if you want to add any specific index using add method, you have to specify the index. So earlier we have butter, milk and orange as our type. Now I have added apples in between of butter and milk. So here in the output that I am highlighting right now, you can check that apple has been added between butter and milk. So using this, you can add any element at any specific position in an array list. So I hope that will be clear. Okay, so one last point about array list that we're going to cover with respect to it. Um, okay, another question is, can we also use string instead of var or not? So I'm assuming you're coming from the part here, the grocery array part here. I'm assuming that yes, you can write it down. You have to write specifically that array string. But in case sometimes you don't want to add that part, you can just put var. It has been provided by Java functionality that you don't have to be much concerned about what the type is, because the Java will figure out itself when you provide the var variable. So in this case, if you want to provide var, you have to provide string array, not only string, because it's an array that we are trying to create here from the array list. Okay. So last point of the array list is uh, so how to that we are seeing earlier, that is, this is one way of converting an array list to array, that is using the to array function you can create that. So what is the other way around? Okay, so for that we can create so let's say a string array is there, okay, name as original array, and that in that we have passed on some value, that is first, second and third. Now if you want to convert this array, this is a array, to a string to a list, so you can use functionality called as list and pass on the array that you are passing. So this var original list now will consist of original array values, and then it will automatically, using, since var is a keyword that we are providing here, the Java will automatically assign the value, the type of here. So if I just hover around this var, okay, so it will tell me that it's a list collection, okay, and the list collection, it's a list basically, and the list is of type of string because we're passing the string here. Now if I provide, instead of original, since I'm just not adding anything, I'm just removing the element from first. I'm trying to convert, I'm replacing that first value to 1. So if I do that and then print out the original list as well as array list, so let's see what will happen. Oh, my bad, I have to rerun this. Okay. Okay, I'm running this array and array list from class now. So what we are doing is we have a string array converted to a list, and then we're replacing the first value with the value called 1 as a string called 1, and then we're putting the original list as well as the array that we have passed on, and see that what is the output will be here. So interestingly, what we can observe here, and we should ask here this aspect as well, the array was first, but we have changed the list content. But here the output, we can see that both the content of array as well as list has been changed. So why is it so? So the actual rationale for this is that the list also is acting as one of its reference variable, because at the end of the day you are trying to uh, access the memory where the values has been stored. Okay, so this, even though the original list and original array are of two different nature, they are pointing to the same memory location. So whatever the changes I'm doing in that memory will be reflected in the both the variables, even though the type is different. So that is one interesting thing I want you to look at. Now if you want to sort an array, sort a particular list, you can use using comparator.natural order, okay, that we have seen earlier. Now another thing is, if you want to remove a uh, list, so which is from original array, and let's try to print this part also, and let's see how the output will be. So I'll try to run this. So we are just printing out one sorting operation, and then we're trying to remove an element from the list. So here we are getting, so here it is printing out perfectly fine. That is, it is showing this is the original array, and this is uh, the one with the sorted part, and we are just printing the array, not the list. Even though the list we are printing, since it is pointing to same location, we can see the output same as list. So here you can see that the second and third was put first, followed by 1. Why? Because 1, in terms of ASCII number values, the capital letters are numbers are initially earlier, followed by the small letters. So that's why second and third as put as first, followed by 1. That is one thing. Now, another important part is, if um, since list and array are immutable, that means you can't just you can replace it, but you can't remove the element. So if you just try to use this function here, dot original list dot remove, it is giving the exception of unsupported operation. So, and if I try to print, and this will not work out, because since here the error is coming. Okay, so that is one important thing. Now let's last four thing. If I want to add something to list, we have removed, right? Let's try to add something. Now if you want to do that, again run this code. Okay, so here also unsupported operations coming, that is, in the list we can't add anything. Okay, so that is, if the list has been created, we can't add anything on top of that. So that is one more thing that we again, it is telling that why it is immutable. And the last part is, if you try to uh, convert the array to a list, this is the another function called as list that we have seen earlier also. So if you just, instead of creating a string array, you can just pass on the string values, convert it as list, and then it will convert it to a list of string, and then it will print out the new list. Okay, so this is how the array list overview of array list, that what we can do with list, what we can do with arrays, and what we can do with array list. Okay, so this is one thing. Now let me look at few questions. So is there difference between char and var data type? Yes. See, the char is basically a primitive data type. Okay, primitive data type, and it stores only one character. However, var is a kind of keyword where the Java compiler itself will identify, when you put var, it will the Java compiler itself will identify the type, identify its type. So this type can be anything. It can be primitive data type, that is int, char, float, something, or it can be a class object, it can be a list, array list. So anything that you might not know what is the type of which you are passing, if you just pass on var, the compiler will automatically identify its type. Okay, so var is much more generic in this nature, char is very specific in nature. That's the difference. Okay, so that's the thing. I think one person has put down the code that's saying that this program runs well in compiler, but not in the assignment compiler. That is something I can look at the end only right now. So we will talk about later. So if you can stay till the end, I will talk, because I have to cover a few more topics before we end this session here. So now it's already 7:04. So we have talked about array list as of now, its functionalities, what it can do, what it can't do. Now let's go to the linked list part first. We will talk about linked list. So we will take a 5 minutes break. So it's 7:05. So we come back at 7:10, and then we'll start talking about the linked list, followed by auto boxing and enum type. Okay, and then we will take any question related to your assignments. Okay, so what I will do is, so we will come back at 7:10. So it's a 5 minute break. So we will take right now. So the session will start at 7:10. Okay, it's a 5-minute break. Okay, so let's start the session again. So it's almost 7:10. So let's wait for maybe few seconds. So we will talk about linked list, and let's go here and go to the linked list part. So they, in this slides, there are some challenges are there which I'm not covering right now because lack of time. But I have provided the all the codes along with this code earlier in the chat box. So if someone doesn't have it, again you can take this. So I'm again putting down in the chat box here. Okay, so all the codes that we are discussing right now, it's there in this Google Drive link. Okay, so let's go back again. Okay, just one more thing, that how it is working in the backend for array and array list. So uh, for an array, the addresses, if you can see, it is contiguous memory. That means whatever the size of particular int element, after that the address of the following address will be continuous of that. Okay, so the where in an array for an array, wherever the elements have been stored in the memory, they are in contiguous fashion. Okay, that's why this we have to specify the size beforehand. We can't specify it later, right? However, array list is different. Here we also keep the it's basically an array, and this array basically store the address of the element that we are saying. So let's say if we have an array list of type string. In this case, these strings can be stored anywhere in the memory. Only the address of those string, wherever stored in the memory, they are kept uh, in the array that we are providing. So that's where the major difference lies between arrays and arrays, how it's stored. So what advantage do they bring? Because of this advantages of reference types, okay, I can array list, that's why it supports removing or adding the new elements. Even though the array list has been surpassed with its capacity, we can add more and more lists. However, with array we can't do that because it's contiguous. Okay, so let's look at this capacity ones of array. uh, so array list, yeah. Now, if I have creating an array list of size 10, a similar kind of array, okay, and I'm storing six values, so it will work pretty much fine if I use this function int list dot add. Okay, now if I want to add three more elements here, so it will fill the array list till the end. Okay, but if I want to add one more item, that is the 55, so it will exceed. Okay, but the beauty that here is that Java and the array list will allows it. So what it will do, it will create the more number of elements space here. So it will create more number of elements where you can add 55 here, and it will provide space for adding much more elements. Okay, so how many elements extra space it is creating, that we don't know, but it is a costly operation, because after having a 10 element, if you want to add 11th element in this case, okay, so what will create, it will create a new array list of bigger size. In this case, for example purpose, it has created 15 element thing. So what it has to do, it will has to copy all these array elements, the initial 10 elements, copy that paste to the array list, and then add the new element. So it's a multiple, it's a why it's a costly operation, because it is using multiple steps before adding the new element called 55, because it has to create a new array list on top of that, and Java will take care of all of these operations in this case. Okay, so that's why we can't actually get the capacity size of an array list, but if we want to keep on adding new elements, Java will allow it. Okay, and it will create new memory all the time. Now, but it has again, it's a since it's a costly operation, because addition will lead to creation of another array list in the background, and copying the older list to a new list. Just a minute, to a newer array list, uh, and then you add the new element which is surpassing the old list. Okay, so this is a costly operation. So to resolve that, linked list comes into picture. Yes, what is the question?
Can you brief previous slides, sir? Just 1 minute.
So here we are talking about the array list capacity. So typically, if for an array, we have to specify the whatever the size of the array is. Okay. Now, but however, with array list, we don't have to specify it. Okay, we can keep on adding the elements. And let's suppose let's say array list initially we specifies with only 10 elements can be added. But if you want to add the 11th element, let's say 55, so what it will do in the back end, it will create a new array list of a bigger size, and it will first copy all the 10 elements of the from the first array list, and then it will add the 55. So which is a costly operation. Okay, because you are doing multiple mixed up operation to create a new array list and copying the old array list to the new array list. Okay, so to resolve that kind of issues, linked list come into picture, which is not index at all. So here you don't have to add, you can keep on adding new elements at the end, from the starting or the end or in the between. It is much simpler. Or specifically in Java, it deals with the doubly linked list. That means I have the link to the next address as well as I have a link to previous element also. Okay, so I'm not going exactly what a linked list is, but it's a list where from the start I have a pointer to the next element, and that next element will point to the third element, and third element point to the next element. So this is the linked list typical strategy is. Okay, the only disadvantage of this linked list though is I have to traverse only in a one sequential manner. I can't jump off like an array like what we do in binary list, because here the next address is where it's stored, we don't know. So we always have to parse through elements one by one. Okay, and linked list support both queue and stack in the picture, so we will see that as well. uh, Also the even the retrieval cost is more than the array list if you want to retrieve the element one by one. But uh, if when it comes for inserting and removing an element, it is much simpler, because you just have to remove the link. So if I have to remove the second element here, I just have to point the next address to the third element, and the previous of third element I have to point down to the first element. So here the solution is much more simpler with respect to the adding and removing the elements. So this is a few aspects of linked list. So let's go down to the code and see what how we can create a linked list here. Okay, so this is the linked list main.java we are having. Okay, and we are creating a linked list with the name of linked list as a class. Okay, that this class we are calling linked list, which is come under java.util package. And then we are calling it is a type of string, so it will store string values. We are naming the linked list name, that is places to visit. And then with the new keyword, we are creating a new linked list with diamond operator and parenthesis. Now if I have to add, since it is also a addition of the array list, we can use list functionalities here also. So using add function, we can add the place name. So in this case string is there, so I have added Delhi. Then if I want to add another way, that is using the index, I can add the another place, that is in this case Mumbai, and I can print it this out. Okay, now this is typically that how we have seen in the earlier in the last 1 hour also, that how we can add an element and how we can remove an element. So what we have done is we have added created one more functionality called add more element, a user based method that we have created, and we are adding more elements there. So let's go to this add more element here. So this here, the add more element we are creating using private static void. So it's a static method that we are creating of a private array access modifier. So here we are passing the linked list of called list, okay, of type string. Now if we want to add more elements apart from add, so we have seen add till now. Okay, and in that add also we have seen two variation. Now you can add in a list using add first and add last. Okay, so using add first, I can add Chennai, and then I can add Kolkata at the last. Okay, so let me run this code first and then see how the output is. So here we already have 4 outputs. So Delhi we have adding, then Mumbai we added at the first position, then we call the add more elements, in which we are adding Chennai at the first position, and the last position of the linked list we are adding Kolkata. So let's run this first. The output is still not came. Just a minute. Okay, so now when we are using add function, we have added Delhi Mumbai. So for that, that's the first line of output that we are seeing. Then we call the add more elements, and there we have added using add first function, the line number 31. Using add for first function, we have added Chennai, and the last we added Kolkata. Now there's something else called as queue and stack. I'm assuming that you might know. If you don't know, please let me know by unmuting yourself. But so linked list also support queue and stack method as well. So now if you want to add something uh, in the queue kind of thing, so here the function call is name is called as offer instead of add. So list dot offer, if you do, and I can add it here, so it will add Pune at the end. Then similarly, like add first and add last, we have something called as offer first and offer last. So it will put Tirupati at the initial play first position and the Bangalore at the last position. Similarly, stack method. So you can use push method here. So in stack we can only add in from a one from a one way. So in this case, Vishaka Pandil put at the first position. So if I run this code again, okay, so I have added few more elements, few more places called like Pune, Tirupati, Bangalore, and all that. So we have added accordingly based on the position that we are offering, right? So offer first, offer last, push, add first, add last, and add method. So there are multiple methods in linked list through which you can add an element in the linked list. Now let's talk about removing the elements. Okay, so for that we have created the function called remove elements, and we are passing the linked list here, and then after that we are printing out the places to visit linked list. So let's go to the function called remove elements. Okay, so there are two ways you can remove element using remove function, which is we have seen earlier also in the array list part also. That is, either you provide the index of that particular list, or you can provide the name of that particular element. Okay, so if I run this, it will remove the one in the position 4 index, that is fourth index is in this case is Delhi, and then it will can remove Mumbai. Okay, so it will print out the list. So I will um run them. Then what we can do is, if I just don't pass any value like index or the element name, if I just pass list dot remove, so what it will do is, since it's linked list, it will take out the first element. So I can put that first element, and in this case it will be the Vishakhapatnam, it will remove. So the Vishakhapatnam it will show. Okay, another way of removing first element, if you have to specify it more out loudly, is using the remove first function. Okay, so in this case Tirupati was will be removed, so that we can see that. Okay, so that we will see, and then so I will just write it down here also. What so here the Delhi will be removed, here Mumbai will be removed, here Vishakhapatnam, and here it will remove. So for remove first, so Tirupati is there, so Tirupati will remove. Okay. Now if you want to remove last element, you can use it remove using remove last. Okay. And in this case, it will remove Bangalore. So let me write that also, Bangalore. Okay. Now let me run this, because too many things we are deleting from this linked list. Okay. So this was our initial linked list that we have passed. I'm highlighting right now in the output box. Okay. Now when we passed this line number 44, that is with index 4, Delhi has been removed. So you can see that Delhi is not present here. Then we have removed Mumbai also. So Mumbai is also not present in the second highlighting light linked list that I'm highlighting. Then using the remove first element, we have removed, using only remove function, we have removed Vishakhapatnam, followed by remove first Tirupati, and then followed by remove last Bangalore. So whatever we have written here as a comment, those are things has been removed. Okay. Now I think the last printout at the end, only three elements are remaining, that is Chennai, Kolkata and Pune. Okay. So let's do few more things. So now let's assume that it is a queue. So if it is a queue, you have to use something, instead of remove you can use something called as poll. So this poll function is there, which will also again remove the element. So in this case we have Chennai, so it will Chennai, it will remove. And then if you again instead of poll, you can take a poll first as well, so it will again remove Kolkata. And since only one element is will be remaining after this, that is Pune, so it will remove using poll last, that is removing the last element, it will remove Pune. Okay, so based on this all the strings will be this time linked list will be empty. Okay, so you can see that using queue also we have three different methods: poll, poll first and poll last. These three methods you can use to remove an element from a linked list. So if I run this, you will get an empty list at the end. Okay, one question is, can you please explain the second import statement linked list, places visited program? Okay, let me go there as well. So you can see that we have used so many methods of removing so that our linked list is last. So now the one question here is this list iterator. We will come to iterator in few minutes. Uh, Now, so we have seen list for the normal linked list, how you can remove using remove function, remove first and remove last, using queue functions. Then if you want to use, if you want to remove something from stack, so let's say stack is there, so I'm adding few elements because our list is empty, so using push method I can add. So I'm adding Ranchi, Pondicherry, Surat as places to visit, printing it out, and using pop method. Pop method will be in this case Surat, so Surat will be removed, because push you can do only top of the what do you say, you can add on top of each other in the stack. So the first element of the stack is Surat in this case, so it can remove only first element of the stack. So that's how using pop function you will remove the first element. So if I run this code also, okay, so after everything was removed, and then we have Surat, Pondicherry that we have added in the stack or the linked list. In this case it's a basically a linked list, and using pop function also you can remove an element. So you have seen 5 to 7 methods here to how to remove an element from a, be it queue, be it list, be a stack or linked list. Okay, because queue and stack you can make using this linked list, that's why I'm using these terms again and again, even though the list original type is linked list here. Okay, so that's a few about removing an element. Now let's talk about how to get an element. So I'm commenting out remove elements from the uh, main function. So we have written another function called getting elements. That means how we can get specific elements from a linked list. So let's look at that. So if you want, if you so this is also private static void getting element. This is some static method of private type, and we are passing list linked list with the name as list element of a string type. Now if you want to retrieve an element, you can use get function. get function, and you have to provide the index of that particular element that you want to extract from the linked list. That is one thing. Now if you want to extract the first and last element, you have to use get first and get last function. Okay, so that is one thing. So let's say this is our original list. Vishakhapatnam highlighting in the output box. Okay, so at get 4 the output should be Delhi. Okay, this because it's at fifth location. Get first will be Vishakhapatnam. Get last will be Bengaluru. Okay, so these are one of the ways to getting an element. Another way is index and last index of. So with index of, I can pass on the string value which I want to find, and it will give me the index of that wherever the Tirupati is there. So Tirupati is the second position, but it will print out the one value because starts the linked list indexing start from 0. Okay, similarly last index of, so let's suppose a linked list, since it can contain duplicate element, so if you want to know that if Pune is present in two places, so if you want to know where the last index where the Pune is present, you can identify using last index of. So in this case 0 1 2 3 4 5 6, so at sixth position you can get the output here. Similarly um, if it's a queue or stack. Okay, so if you want it's a queue, if we just put list dot element, you can extract the list, whatever the element, in this case the first element will be extracted. Now in stack you can use element from peak, so this is also Vishakhapatnam. Okay, in peak also the same, you can find the first element, same peak first element, and the peak last will be the last element, you can extract it. Okay, so if I just run this code, so I'm just telling you output beforehand only because it takes time if I print out each and every output one by one. It's parsing right now. Okay, so mostly all the answers that we have discussed till now, it's correct. The first was Delhi, followed by Vishakhapatnam, Bangalore, and 1 and 6 position. Vishakhapatnam from the first element, that using dot element dot peak. Also we are getting the first elements. Peak first we are getting first element. Peak last we are getting the Bangalore, right? So all through all this means you can extract an element from a given linked list. Now let's go to a more interesting part. Now you can get an element, right? Let's try to print a given a linked list. Okay, so it has four different ways in which we can print a linked list. So we'll talk about few of them. So let's talk about first type, that is print itinerary. Okay, print itinerary, places to visit. We are passing the linked list here. So let's go to this function first. So print itinerary is it's a public static void that we are giving. Access specified doesn't matter as of this case right now because it's in same class. But static is a static function we're giving, and we are passing the linked list as an argument. Okay, and then we are printing out using standard way through which we are used. That is using for loop, in which we are passing through I equal to 1, I less than list size, and I plus plus, and then using the get function be extracting the elements and printing them out. Okay, so if I just run this code, so this is a standard way of writing, not standard, it's a common way of writing or printing a list. Okay, so let's see how the output will be like. Okay, so since it's an itinerary that we're creating, so trip start at Vishakhapatnam using the we got using get first function, and the trips end at Bangalore using get last function, and using get function we are getting in between. So this is one way of printing the itinerary. Okay, another way of printing the itinerary is using enhanced for loop. Okay, so this is done using enhanced for loop. Okay, so what we are trying to do here is uh, we are printing get first function trip start at particular place. Then what we are doing is, this is the enhanced for loop that we are talking about, line number 107. So we are just passing the list, and in that list we know that the list contains strings of values. So we are creating a string named town, and then we are trying to print out. So what we are doing, so we are trying to, since we are printing like this, that from where to where we are going, one place to another place. So the previous town we are storing using get first function, that is the first function. Previous town we'll get using list.get first, and then when we are printing it out, we put this printer the from first place to the another place that we are extracting using town function, and then the town function will become the previous town. Okay, so this is second way of printing the itinerary. If I run this, it will also give me the same kind of photo that we have seen just right now. So let me print that also. So I'm commenting print itinerary and print itinerary 2, which is the enhanced for loop. So let me run this. So it is building. So let's look at the third way. So we have seen two for loops right now. One is normal for loop and one is enhanced for loop. Now let's look at the third way of writing this down by the time it is parsing out, which will give the uh, uh, same results as earlier. Okay, the same result is giving. Only place that we might get issue is that we have to look at the logic, is that it's showing Vishakhapatnam because it's not starting at index 1, it's starting from index 0 only. Okay, so there's something, if we do certain logic we can fix this part also. Now let's look at the third itinerary, that is print itinerary 3. Okay, here let's get down to concept of iterator. Okay, so here we are not going to use uh, for loop, we are going to use something called as iterator. Okay, so what is iterator? So let's look at that. Okay, so iterator is basically an object. Okay, so it's like a cursor which deals, so given a string of objects or data collection, it will traverse through that kind of iterator will traverse through that kind of collection. Okay, so let's look at this example. So if we have a iterator, so iterator is basically a cursor. So what it will do is, if we have a linked list, so let's say it is a linked list, this particular thing, all the blue boxes that you can see, it's one item in that element in that linked list. Okay, so it's maybe Alice Spring, Adelaide, it's a names of the Australia country, the cities of the Australia countries. Okay, so this is the linked list that we are having of type string, and we are presenting and storing as a linked list. So what iterator do is, iterator actually present between, its cursor is present between the two elements. So the cursor position start at before the object name, the first element of the linked list, and then the after this some functionality called next, after which you can print out this Alice Spring, the linked list, and then it will go between the first and the second element. Okay, so that's how the iterator works. So it will iterator go step by step, one by one, traverse through the list, array linked list one by one, and it will store in between of each other. Okay, and there's another function called has next method is there, which looks at that whether the cursor should go to next method or not. So it will check the whether it contains next element or not. If it contains next element, the iterator will go to the next position, otherwise it will give the false, and it will tell that the no more elements are remaining to be traversed into. So it has two methods, next and has next. Okay, so this is the one of the objects people use quite a lot. Instead of writing the for loop, you can use a typical iterator, and iterator usually use with the while loops. Okay, so how to create a iterator? You create a iterator using list iterator. Okay, so someone has asked what is the list iterator. It's come from Java package. So iterator itself, its object is there, but if you want to traverse a list, we will call for list iterators. Okay, now let's go to again iterators here. Yes, this one. So list iterator, and we are telling the type of elements through which it has to traverse through. That's why we have to specify the type. So in this case string, because our linked list is of type string. Okay, and we provided the name of that list iterator as iterator. Okay, and then we can specify the position through which it has to start. Okay, so we are specifying that the list has to start from position 1, not position 0, and then from there it will check iterator.hasNext. That means it will the hasNext function will check um, if there is an element exist in the linked list or not, for which it has to traverse. So if it exists, it provide true. So if it is true, it will come down, and then it using iterator.next, whatever the next element value is, that value you can store in the town variable, and then you can print it out this variable here. Okay, so if I run this code, it will also run like this. It will show in the same output, but here the methodology method that we are using here is using the iterator list iterator object that we are creating right now. Okay, so this is the something new thing that we are digressing from, instead of using a for loop or an enhanced for loop. Okay, so there's a fourth way also. Fourth way is similar to iterator. Okay, so here what we can do is uh, we can define a typical general iterator that we want. Otherwise we can create a list, the list using the list key linked list. We can call a function called list iterator, through which a iterator object will be created, and then using the same iterator dot hash next, we can check whether next element is there or not, and then we can do multiple operation through this. We can print it out something like so let's run this. Let's run this part also. So let's comment dot print itinerary 2, and let's go to test iterator. Okay, okay, so let's okay, let me comment few things here. Now let's try to print it out simple linked list first. So how we can do, you will try to print it using next iterator dot next. Okay, so let's run this first. Okay, illegal start of type. Okay, 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 I think I have to comment this part of the code as well. Okay, let me run this again. So using the linked list, we are calling list iterator function to create an iterator. So if you look at okay, class interface record is expected. Something is wrong here. Okay, while function. Ah, my bad. I have to comment this part also. Okay, sorry, some logic issue here. I haven't take care of the curly braces here. I think now it should work pretty much fine. Okay, so this is the original linked list that we are having, and using iterator.next, we are traversing here one by one Vishakhapatnam, Tirupati, and all that, right? All this is fine. Now let's do something better here. Now what we'll do is, uh, so we'll check if iterator.next is equals to Mumbai. So let's say here I can add, using iterator I can also add an element within the linked list. Okay, because it's a cursor. Using this cursor I can also add or remove the things. So let's do that, and let's see how it will work. Okay, I don't know whether I'm printing it or not, or I haven't printed it. So let's me do one thing. I will just print out the list here. That will be much better. Okay. Okay, so it can add Navi Mumbai here. Similarly, if you want to remove something, you can remove using iterator.remove or list.remove. It will take out the first element from out of this. Okay. Now let's do something else. Um let's do this thing. So while iterator has next is function is there, and you're doing iterator.next printing one by one, right? So now again write a while loop. Okay, and again try to print out the iterator.next. Okay, and let's see whether it will print or not. I have write down the comment already, but what the output will be like. But let's see how the compiler will give us the output. Illegal start of type, expected, something is expected. Okay, again I'm doing the same mistake. Sorry, I've done again, didn't check for the curly braces. Okay, so what happened here is, so using iterator we try to print out one element at a time, right? So this was the original list, and I'm highlighting in the output box, and it is printing one by one till Bangalore. Now again I am trying to print using has next, and trying to print, but no output has come. Okay, so why it's so? Because the reason, the code has been compiled, everything is fine, but the reason it can't print, because we haven't reset the iterator position. Okay, after this iterator dot next, it reached till the end. Now it knows that after this Bangalore there is no other element, so it will stop there, the cursor will be there, and there is no way we can reset the iterator position. So if you want to reset it, either again reinstate the new iterator variable, or what you can do is, you can try to go with using the function called has previous, like has next, which go forward, it will go backward, and using this iterator dot previous, if you try to print, it will go back and it will print out. So that means the way that we have seen here, Vishakhapatnam to Bangalore, it will print out in a reverse order. Okay, and then let's see how the output will look like here. Okay, So here till Bangalore, that's what we have seen. But from line 142 to 144, it has gone from backward, right? So here from Bangalore to Vishakhapatnam using back forward, it has reached to its original position. Now you can traverse the iterator. So iterator can go only forward or backward. It can't jump from one position to another position. So that is something we need to take care of. Otherwise, you have to tell explicitly that from which location I need to start. So like the one we have seen here, right? List or list iterator, we can specify, but you have to specify the cursor only during the initialization part, not in the between. So that is one important part of the iterator. Another thing, uh, if you want to, okay, so like we are saying, right, we have, if you want to start from a specific position, you have to say list dot list iterator from a specific position. Let's say third in this case mostly is Mumbai. From there, okay, now is there, right? Now let's try to print out, if I try to print iterator dot to next and iterator 2 dot previous, so what will happen? If I run this code also, so we have put the cursor, iterator cursor, in front of Mumbai, so it will be between Chennai and Mumbai. So first we are calling iterator dot next, so ideally should print Delhi, but it is showing Mumbai and Mumbai. Okay, so what has happened? Even though we have positioned the iterator in between Chennai and Mumbai or Delhi, when I'm printing iterator dot to dot next and iterator 2 dot previous, it is showing me Mumbai. So what is happening? So let's look at from the slide. Okay, so here I think from this you can maybe try to understand it uh, in a different case. So here we have the linked list with elements name as Alice Spring, Brisbane and Darwin. These are city names. Okay, now we have created list iterator using list dot list iterator. Now when we are doing iterator dot next, that it's a starting from 0th position, it will bring the cursor iterator will go from 0th position to the first position and will pass on the value of Alice Spring here. Okay, now the cursor position is there in between between two elements called Alice Spring and Brisbane. Okay, so because of this happening, when you do again iterator dot next, it will jump from 1 to 2. Okay, now when you try to so here also Brisbane will be retained because you're coming from 1 to 2 here, so Brisbane is retained. Okay, now when you going iterator dot previous, you're going from 2 to 1. So when you're going there again, you're traveling around this Brisbane element only. Sorry, this Brisbane element only you are trying to pass out around it. That's why it is again returning the Brisbane. So in this case, let's say the Brisbane is Mumbai. So let's so here we have, right. So position number is 3, uh, Chennai and Mumbai. So let's say the cursor, the iterator cursor is always pointing the between of two elements. So it's a iterator cursor is between Chennai and Mumbai. Okay, so when it is has iterator dot next, so it will go between the iterator cursor will go between Mumbai and Delhi. So since it is going from Mumbai to Delhi, so it will be in between where I'm putting highlighting the comma. That's where somewhere the iterator cursor will be there. So it will return me the Mumbai. Now if I go to iterator dot previous, that means from it, so it will again go back to the iterator cursor, again go back to Chennai and Mumbai. Okay, so again the cursor will be between Chennai and Mumbai, and since I'm going from here, Delhi was there, from Delhi I have jumped to the Mumbai. So since Mumbai was a common point, that's why I got Mumbai again. Okay, so that's why I'm getting the output of Mumbai and Mumbai here. So I hope you are getting this aspect here. Again, I'm repeating. Uh, the cursor iterator cursor position is always between the elements, not on top of the elements. Okay, so because of that, these issues are coming where when you're going iterator dot next or iterator dot previous, you have to be keep in mind that what it is returning back. Okay, so one question has been asked that what is the working of has next. So see, has next, so iterator is a cursor, right? So let's say iterator in this case, after it is at position number 2. Now position number 2, it knows that there is an element called Darwin with the name element name Darwin is there. So after that, so here if you do has next, it will just check that whether I have a next element in the pipeline or not. So if it is yes, so it will pass the true. So now after this, the cursor will remove here. So let's say position number 3. Now after this, if I again invoke has next function, so what it will do is it will check that there is no element here. So it will provide false for the has next function. So it will say that okay, I am came to the end of the list. Okay, so that's what has next do. Has next is just a function which tells whether it tells the iterator that whether this a next element is present or not. Tell iterator whether next element is present or not. Okay, so this has next will do. What next function will do is, again, it will return the value of the element it has just crossed. Okay, so it will return the value of the element it has just crossed, but has next just check that whether the element is present or not. So that's the only two difference between has next and next. Okay, so we almost end up the session. I think I can't cover auto boxing enum. Maybe next time I will cover. These are simple concepts here. But in this session, we have seen array list, linked list, and iterators, uh, and how iterator has been used in the linked list specifically. So if you have any other questions with respect to this, please let me know. It might be confusing a little bit, might be at the first, but you have to understand that iterator is just a cursor which points in between the elements, not on top of the elements. Okay. Yes. So I think, yeah, today I think I will cover till here only, because auto boxing and enum will take another half an hour to 45 minutes. So I think I can't cover those parts. But the code has been given to you. It's there in the chat box. You can refer those things also if you want to do that. And there also challenges associated with the linked list and array list are present along with the code. So you can try those challenges and then you can compare with the code as well. So I can't paste the code because it's very big. What I can, I think you can see that I have earlier shared the Google Drive link. So through that, you can take the whole Java file itself and you can run it already. So, okay, so I think Vimlesh has one question. Yes. Now, please tell me what exactly is your problem. You can unmute yourself and you can tell me what is the problem with the code that you have put that in the chat box.
Sir, actually, when the code was running in the compiler, online compiler,
Mm-hmm.
then we have to get the input from the user, and accordingly we have to draw the pattern, star pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So, sir, when it was running on online compiler, it was taking input and same output was presenting by the compiler. But when I tried it on the assignment compiler, it was showing error of the output was not same.
Okay, the first question you should ask is whether what kind of Java it is supporting, the assignment compiler. Do you have any idea that which Java version it support, or do you know what kind of error it is showing?
Right. So it was on online compiler, so I don't know
No,
the
no, no.
version.
In the assignment compiler where it was you're trying to run it, right? You got some error, right? Means it was not running.
I don't remember the error.
So then
I
how
will
can I
reload it.
fix this thing? Okay, I will try to run this code here. So
Sir, sir,
yes.
sir, in last assignment, there were two questions
Uh-huh.
where I could see that in the trial run it is matching,
Okay.
but when we submit it, it is saying wrong answer.
Maybe for other test cases, it might be showing that problem.
How to resolve it?
So,
There are two questions coming like that.
uh-huh. So that is something you have to ask the TAs of that NPTEL. There's a forum there, right? There you can ask them properly because I am not aware of those questions also, as well as I haven't seen those questions as well as why it is working. So you have to ask them the what are the edge test cases where it might be failing. It might be passing for certain test cases, but it might not be passing for some other test cases.
Yes,
So you have
yes,
to ask them why what are those questions are, what are the test cases are.
okay.
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah, so if I try to run this,
sir,
uh,
I had mentioned the error in the chat box, which it was showing.
um, compilation fail, program error, cannot find symbol. Okay, let me run this code here also. Let's see. I think I'm also not getting any output from here. No, I'm also not getting. Let me see, let me print out something to see that I'm getting output or not. Hello. Oh, still running. Okay. I think it got into infinite loop. Yes, I think somewhere in the logic, something is happening where it might go to infinite loop or something. I'm assuming it, but it doesn't look like this. Let me stop it. That's why it's still running. Okay, let me run this one more time. It's not running. So it is not going till here also. So I think you have to check for string value of function whether it's working there also not. That's the first issue that I think you have to check off. It's not printing here and it is stucking somewhere. So you have to debug it. So where the exactly debugging plays come into picture. You can print out multiple statements and multiple lines to see that where exactly it's come getting wrong. So let me run this again. Interesting. It's not at all working. Okay, if I just print this, syntax issue, where is then syntax issue? Still it's not coming. This is the public class. This is static void main scanner, new scanner, system.n, ina.nextInt. This is still fine. I'm printing out. Okay, that is true. But apart from that, also I've commented. Okay, so one person has said that instead of string dot variable value of, you can write variable dot value of. So whatever the variable here, but I'm not even going to that. I'm just trying to run I've just commented those codes and just trying to run simple this thing. Why it is not working? Uh, let's say J. It should not affect much actually. And I is less than n. And what is n here? Oh, I have to pass. Sorry, my bad. Sorry. I have to give this output, right? They're asking for my input. My bad. And run this again. Oh, so change to J. Just a minute, I'm just trying it out. So let's say 9. Okay, so I think it is working from my side also. Let me share the screen. So this is the output you're expecting, Vimlesh?
Yes, sir. This was.
Okay, and it's showing that, and this is the output they asked in the assignment also, this type of
Yes,
pattern.
sir. Yes, sir. This was.
I think in that case, what you are saying here is public test cases 0 0 passed. Is there any issue with the spacer or something that you might be outlooking here in the public test cases? Have you seen the test cases of there?
Yes, sir. It was same as it was coming up.
Okay. Then you can raise an issue with that there in the forum with the TAs, or you can write a mail to the NPTEL that the program is working but it's not taking it out. Because yes, what you're doing is correct. It is working for me also. Only thing that you have to check here is I have a latest version. You might have a online compiler has a latest version, but this value of function, whether it was existing in the Java 8 or Java 9 type or not, maybe at that point of their compiler version might be old. They might have not upgraded that part. So that is something you have to figure. You have to ask them, and then you can figure out. There's no problem in the code. That is true. Uh, but mm, even then, I can't. I have no idea about the NPTEL side, that how they are dealing with the compilers. So it's better for you to try it out with uh,
Hello,
the
sir.
yeah.
Sir, I had mentioned the question also in the chat box. Okay, it was asking the.
So output is 3 3 3 3. Okay, let me run this again. See, yeah, so your answer is correct as what you have shown here. Um, Only issue that I am thinking of is their compiler might be old, so they that Java JDK version, and they might not have value of function. That's the only thing I can show. Otherwise, code wise it is correct. It is working from my side also. So the thing that you can raise is in the discussion forum, or you can directly write to NPTEL that this is the problem statement that I have. My code is running, but it's not code running on that part. So that's the only solution I can give you as of now.
Okay, sir.
Oh, okay, I think it's already 8:10. So we end the session today. So next time we will discuss auto boxing enum, followed by the abstraction, that is interfaces and abstract class. We'll go and follow the next week. We'll go towards the we need this base for go to generics. There is something called Java generics. We will go to that as well. So I'm writing my mail ID. Okay. So if anyone has any other question with respect to array list or linked list. Okay, so in that case, thank you everyone. So I'm ending the call for everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining.